Think about what is missing in your life, and you talk to your friends about it, and you put your attention and your energy on it in your telephone conversations, and you go to sleep thinking about what is missing, and you have this kind of an energy system going on for you. You will continue to have what you are thinking about show up in your life, and you'll see more and more and more of missingness continue to show up. You can't think about and put your energy on what is missing unless you want it to keep being that way in your life. So that's the first thing you want to shift. That's the first obstacle to reaching this state of what I call intention. Secondly, if you put your thoughts on what is, you will continue to attract what is into your life. Now, I'm going to suggest something very strange up here right now. I told you when it gets weird, that you have the ability to put your attention on an inner mantra that I have recorded in a CD called Meditations for Manifesting, that came to me from a teacher 2,300 years ago named Patanjali in India, who taught people at that time, when this is before the Middle Ages, this was like when people hadn't been out of caves too long, was teaching people how to levitate, and was teaching people how to bilocate, and was teaching people how to have the gift of fish and loaves 300 years before Jesus showed up on this planet. And his aphorisms of Patanjali are a big part of a spiritual solution to every problem. And what he suggested at that time is a meditation called japa. And this meditation is something where you take your attention, your inner energy, off of what is and onto what you intend to manifest, and you repeat the sound that is in the name of God as an inner mantra. And by repeating this sound, you attract the energy from outside of yourself, that is the source from which you emanated, to cooperate with you and literally collaborate with you to shift it into whatever it is that you intend to manifest. And you can do this with money. You can do this with getting pregnant if you haven't been able to do that. You can get it with selling your home. You can get it, and if you take a look at 300 years later, 400 years later, John the Baptist writes in the New Testament, the opening line of the New of the book of John in the New Testament. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. As strange as it may sound to you, based upon the conditioning that you have had, just like Ivan Illich, the repetition of the sound as an inner mantra is a way of getting in the gap. And it is a way of, when you repeat this sound, attracting whatever energy, that dormant forces that are out there, into your life to have whatever you need show up. And all I can say to you is, I stand up here before you tonight from my heart telling you that it has always worked for me. It is a meditation practice. It is so powerful, and I can't tell you how many people have been practicing it, including Gary, who spoke to you here today. And there is absolutely no limit to what you can attract into your life simply by practicing it. I have put it on CD. I put it in Getting in the Gap. I teach it. I donate all of the proceeds from it to charities because I was asked to teach it, but to take no money for it. And I've been doing it for several years now. If your thoughts are on what is, let's just say you've got a disease process. Cancer, arthritis, the flu, a cold. If your thoughts are on, if you get a sniffle, and your thoughts are on, this is in my nose today, but tomorrow it'll be in my throat. On Wednesday, it'll be down in my chest. On Thursday, I'll probably have a fever. I'm going to have to take Friday off. Now, it's Monday morning, and you've got a sniffle, and in your mind you're taking Friday off with a fever. If this is how you have trained your mind to work, to put your attention on the circumstances of your life, self-actualizing people, Abraham Maslow was a great teacher of mine. I was blessed to know him. I was blessed to be one of his devotees. He died on the 14th of June, 1970, in the same hour that I walked across the stage at Cobo Hall in Detroit receiving my PhD. In the same hour. He passed the baton on. He said, I've taught self-actualization to the academic world. Now you take it to the masses. And Maslow said, self-actualizing people are distinguished from everybody else with this sentence: they must be what they can be. They must be what they can be. And one of those 10 secrets for success and inner peace is that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. And know this, that your mind created everything in your life that you call a problem. And self-actualizing, highly functioning people who live at these extremely, extraordinarily high levels of consciousness never put their thoughts on what is if they don't like what is. Because if your thoughts are on what is, and you despise what is, and if you look at poor people, if you look at unsuccessful people, if you look at sickly people, if you look at tired people, if you look at addicted people, you will see people who put their attention constantly on their problems, on what is wrong, on what isn't working, on what I can't do, and so on. They'll tell you about it, they'll focus on it, and when your thoughts are on what is, and what you think about is what expands, you continue to attract more of what is into your life. When I had a practice, I had a woman who came to me who said, I just went through a divorce 7 months ago, and I've been dating, and I've dated 4 different men, and all 4 of them have used me as a sex object. And every single one of them called me up after the first date and were mistreating me, and they didn't have any respect for me, and that was the end of it. And she said, I'd like you to talk to all 4 of these men. And I said, there's only one common denominator here. You are attracting into your life what you are putting your attention on. It's called the Job effect. You can't think about what is missing, and you can't think and put your energy and talk about what is if you don't like what is. Can't do that unless you want more of that to show up. Third, you cannot put your attention or your thoughts or your energy on what always has been. If you put your thoughts or your energy on what always has been is what will continue to show up into your life. What always has been is the wake of a boat. Your life is a boat. It's heading up the river in that direction. And it's heading there at 40 knots. And you're standing on the stern, and you're looking down at the water, and as the boat goes in this direction, here you are looking down into the water, and what do you see? You see the wake. And what is the wake? The wake is the trail that is left behind. That's what the wake of your life is. That's what the wake of the boat is. And if you ask yourself the question, what's driving the boat? What's making this thing head in this direction? The answer is the present moment energy that is being generated by the engine, and nothing more is what's making the boat go in this direction. And then if you ask yourself this key question, is it possible for the wake to drive the boat? Can a trail that is left behind make a boat go in this direction? What's the answer? Impossible, isn't it? And so too is it impossible for the wake of your life, the trail that you've left behind, to be the reason why your life is going in this direction. It is not because of anything that has happened back here. That's an illusion that we live under. What has happened back here is a trail. The choices you make in this moment. And if your thoughts are on what always has been, this is the way we've always done things, this is the kind of person I am, I can't change, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, all of those cliches that have become so much a part of our life, if your thoughts are on what always has been, and you despise what always has been, you will continue to attract more of what always has been, even though you despise it. It works that way. So you can't think about what's missing, what is, and what always has been. And it gets worse. You cannot think about and put your attention on what they want or expect for you if you want that to change in your life. And there's no shortage of people who have an opinion about what it is that you should be or shouldn't be or how you should be doing it. Most of these are your relatives. I have a wonderful book in mind to write. It's called Your Friends Are God's Way of Apologizing for Your Relatives. But if I talk to your relatives, they laugh too. So we all have this idea that the reason I'm not getting where I'd like to be, particularly with young people and working with young people over the years, it's because my parents want this, or my parents think that, or my parents won't let me do this. And I always said, well, but why are you so attached to what your parents think? Well, these are my parents, and I have to do it. I said, you can listen to it, you can take it in, but you don't have to embrace it. You don't have to live by that. And certainly when you become adults, when if there are people out there who convince you that you should or shouldn't be doing this or that, then you're going to continue to attract exactly what it is that they have their attention on. So if you put your thoughts on what they want for you, you tell everybody else about how it makes you go from being blissed to pissed just by being in their presence, just by being on the telephone with them. That person, that in-law, that mother, that father, that grandparent, that child, whoever it might be, is giving you, or even your neighbors or your friends or whomever, your coworkers are telling you what you should or shouldn't be, and you don't like the advice that they're giving, and you resent very strongly. One of the 10 secrets for success in inner peace says there are no justified resentments. Your resentments are things that destroy you. So if your thoughts are on what they want for you, and what they want for you is something you don't like, you will continue to attract more of and use the attractor energy of the universe to attract more of what they want for you, even though you are upset about it. So here you go. There are 4 things that you can't do with your mind if you want to move into this state of intention that I'll be speaking about tomorrow. And these are, you cannot put your thoughts on what's missing, on the circumstances of your life, on what you always have been, or what others want for you. So you have to learn to do a somersault into the inconceivable and only put your thoughts or your attention on what you intend to manifest for yourself. Every thought that you have is an energy. Everything in the universe is an energy. And when you have a thought that is a thought that weakens you, which Hawkins speaks about so brilliantly in Power versus Force, that thought, the 10th secret in 10 Secrets says, wisdom is avoiding all thoughts which weaken you. And thoughts change and make you strong or weak depending upon whether or not what you're thinking at any given moment. The instant that you put something into your body and hold it close to it, the moment that you move into the energy field of someone who is negative, and I'll be speaking more about this tomorrow afternoon and doing a little bit more of demonstration on it, that everything in this universe is an energy. I have the prayer of St. Francis on which I'll be reciting tomorrow, and Sky will sing for you tomorrow, on a card that is produced by a woman who lives in a wheelchair. And also, and all it takes is to be in the energy field. If I had Linda hold this up next to her, it would strengthen her. Just the words. Energy is in everything. And here's one of the most powerful notions about how you move into this area of bringing higher energy to the presence of lower energy in your life to strengthen rather than weaken you. It was on the wall of the ashram where Mother Teresa lived. And it goes like this. If you want to know tonight what to do and what to think and how to bring this energy to you, listen to these words. And put these, as I said, the money that's collected on these goes to a woman who lives in a wheelchair, who has the intention to not be dependent. And you stick this on there, and you know, your children just have to walk by these words. and the energy it touches and impacts them. Just like the music, the CD, even carrying it around. It's why I knew that Sky's CD would strengthen rather than weaken. You can take the Prayer of St. Francis, which she sings on there, put that on in your car and play it in a moment of frustration or anguish in traffic, and you know what? You can move the traffic. I know you laugh and you think that that kind of thing is impossible. There is nothing that you can't do when you shift your energy from energies that weaken to energies that strengthen. And this is what Kent Keith had written and what Mother Teresa lived by. She said, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone may destroy overnight. That's particularly relevant in America, isn't it? Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you have anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it's all between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway.
Life is eternal. We all live on a stage where many infinities gather. Just take a look outside tonight and contemplate the infinity of space. There are stars so distant from you that they're measured in the distance that light travels in an earthly year. Beyond those stars that you can see are endless galaxies that stretch out into something we call eternity. Indeed, the space that you occupy is infinite. Its vastness is too huge for us to see. We are in an infinite, never-ending, never-beginning universe. Now pay close attention to this next sentence.
Hey there, Vision Clarity family. Quick pause because I've got something exciting to share with you today. I've discovered a program called The Language of Abundance that I believe can truly enhance our journey towards manifestation and abundance. This program is all about unlocking the power of positive thinking and attracting wealth into your life. It's simple, easy to follow, and has been praised by many for its effectiveness. Check out the link in the description below to learn more and get your hands on this life-changing tool today. Remember, we're all about growth and positivity here, and I believe this could be a great step forward for many of us. Stay blessed and keep manifesting. Now let's get back to our session.
If life is infinite, then this is not life. Really let these words sink in. If life is infinite, then this is not life. We can see this in everything that we scrupulously observe. Therefore, we must conclude that life, in terms of our body and all of its achievements and possessions, which without exception begin and end in dust, isn't life itself. Grasping life's true essence could radically change your life for the better. This is an enormous inner shift that eliminates fear of death. How can you fear something that doesn't exist? And connects you permanently to the infinite source of creation that intends everything from the world of infinite spirit into a finite world. Learn to be comfortable with the concept of infinity and see yourself as an infinite being. Your fear of the infinite. We are all in bodies that are going to die, and we know this, yet we can't imagine it for ourselves, so we behave as if it weren't so. It's almost as if we're saying to ourselves, everybody dies but me. This is attributable to what Freud observed. Our death is unimaginable, so we simply deny it and live our lives as if it weren't going to die, because of the terror that our own death instills. As I sat down to write the chapter on infinity, I said to a friend that my goal was to leave the reader, and you, the listener, with a complete absence of the fear of death. Let me know if it touches you in that way, even on a minor scale. Your own death. Essentially, there are 2 points of view regarding this dilemma of your own death. The first says that we're physical bodies that are born and we go on to live for a while, and then ultimately we deteriorate. Our flesh wears out and then we die and are dead forever. This first perspective, if you embrace it either consciously or otherwise, is terrifying from our alive point of view. Unless you embrace the second point of view, it's completely understandable that you would fear death. Or you may welcome it if you hate or fear life. The second point of view says very simply that you're eternal, an infinite soul in a temporary expression of flesh. The second point of view says that only your physical body dies, and that you were whole and perfect as you were created, and that your physicalness emanated from the universal mind of intention. That universal mind was and is formless. It's the pure energy of love, beauty, kindness, and creativity, and it can't die since there are no forms involved. No form, no death, no boundaries, no deterioration, no flesh, no possibility of it wasting away. Thus, spirit is present in its entirety everywhere, which includes you. You can never be separate from it. You'll learn to laugh at the absurd idea that you could ever be separate from the universal mind. It's your source. You are it. God is the mind through which you think and exist. It's always connected to you, even if you don't believe in it. Even an atheist doesn't have to believe in God to experience God. The question then becomes not whether your body is going to die, but rather on what side of infinity do you wish to live? You have 2 choices. Either you live on the inactive or the active side of infinity. In either case, you have an appointment with infinity, and there's no way to avoid it. Your appointment with infinity. Eternity is now, right here. You're an infinite being. Once you get past the fear of death as an end, you merge with the infinite and feel the comfort and relief that this realization brings. We identify everything in this material world through a space-time continuum. Yet infinity has no preference for time and space. You aren't the elements that make up your body. You merely make use of the elements. You go beyond space and time and are merged with the infinite universal mind. If you haven't recognized it, it's because of your fear. You can keep your appointment with infinity while you're in your temporary body with its slavish adherence to time and space. My objective in this chapter is to help you to realize and do this. If you make this merger, I assure you of a life without fear of death. When your infinite soul leaves the body, it's no longer subject to the constraints of time and space. Separation can no longer interfere with you. So my question to you isn't about whether you believe you have an appointment with infinity. It's about when you're going to keep that inevitable appointment. You can either do it now while you're still alive in your body in the illusion of time and space, or you can do it at death. If you decide to make your appointment with infinity while you still live and breathe, it's like learning to die while you're alive. Once you make this transition to the active side of infinity, your fear of death dissolves and you laugh at the folly of death. Understand your true essence. Look death squarely in the face and break the shackles of slavery to that fear. You do not die. Announce it. Meditate on it. Look at it from this angle. If you're not an infinite being, what would be the purpose of your life? Surely not going through the motions of being born, working, accumulating, losing it all, getting sick, and dying. By waking up to your infinite essence and staying connected to the 7 faces of intention, you begin to free yourself of the limitations your ego has placed on you. You set in motion the guidance and assistance of the infinite universal mind to work with you. And most of all, you feel the peace that overtakes you when you expel your fear of death and mortality. I'm touched by the stories of great spiritual teachers leaving this earthly plane feeling blissful and fearless. They banished all doubt, extricated all fear, and met infinity head-on with grace. Here are the final words of a few of the people I've long admired. The hour I have long wished for is now come. Teresa of Avila. Let us be kinder to one another. The last words of Aldous Huxley. If this is death, it's easier than life. The last words of Robert Louis Stevenson. This is the last of earth. I am content. John Quincy Adams. I shall hear in heaven. Ludwig van Beethoven. Light, light, the world needs more light. Johann von Goethe. I am going to that country which I have all my life wished to see. William Blake. It's very beautiful over there. Thomas Edison. Ram, Ram, Ram. God, God, God. Mahatma Gandhi. Why not write your own final words now and make your transition to being an infinite being while you still occupy your body? As you consider your appointment with infinity, look at how most of us live our lives. We know we're in a body that's going to die, but we behave as if it's not going to happen to us. This viewpoint is from the inactive side of infinity, where we don't see our connection to intention and our ability to stay in harmony with our creative spirit. Let's examine the essential difference between keeping your appointment with infinity now or at your own death. In one case, you'll be on the active side of infinity, and in the other, you'll avoid it by being on the inactive side. The active versus the inactive sides of infinity. On the active side of infinity, you're fully cognizant that you're in a body that's going to die. Furthermore, your inner knowing is that you aren't that body, its mind, or any of its achievements and possessions. On this active side of infinity, you are first and foremost an infinite spiritual being having a temporary human experience, and you do all of your living in all of your relationships from this very perspective. On the inactive side of infinity, your experience of life is quite the opposite. Here, you're first and foremost a human being having an occasional spiritual experience. Your life is guided by a fear of death, a separation from others, a competitive style, and a need to dominate and be a winner. The inactive side of infinity separates you from the power of intention. Here are some of the distinctions that I see between those who live in the active side of infinity and those who deny their eternal nature and opt for the inactive side of infinity. A sense of destiny. In the active side of infinity, your connection to intention will no longer be thought of as an option, but as a calling that you must heed. The inactive side of infinity leads you to see life as chaotic, purposeless, and meaningless, while your position on the active side of infinity leads you to fulfill a destiny that you feel deep within you. Your sense of destiny lets you know that you're playing this game of life on the active side of infinity. Prior to accessing your sense of destiny, your motivation was what you wanted out of life and what you'd like to do. On the active side of infinity, you realize that it's time to do what your destiny intended you to do. Wallowing around hoping things will work out, waiting for your luck to change, and hoping others will come through for you no longer feels right. Your sense of destiny allows you to realize, I am eternal, and that means that I showed up here from the infinitude of spiritual intention to fulfill a destiny that I must act upon. You begin stating your objectives in the language of intention, knowing they'll materialize. You enlist the power of intention to keep you on track. It can't fail because there's no failure in the infinite. This 13th century poem may inspire you to know you have a destiny. You were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. That's Rumi, one of my very favorite poets. If Rumi had composed his poem from the inactive side of infinity, his words might be more like the following, quote, You are an accident of nature. You are subject to the laws of luck and chance. You can be pushed around easily. Your dreams are meaningless. You are meant to live an ordinary life. You have no wings, so forget about flying and stay grounded. A sense of the possible. Creation acts upon the everlasting possibility that anything that is thought of can be. Consider some of the numerous great inventions which we take for granted today. Airplanes, electric lights, telephones, television, fax machines, computers. They're all the result of creative ideas by individuals who ignored the ridicule they encountered while they stayed focused on possible rather than impossible. In other words, a sense of the possible grows in the fertile terrain of the active side of infinity. The power of intention involves staying on the active side of infinite possibilities. George Bernard Shaw, who was still creating into his 90s, has been quoted as saying, You see things as they are and you say why, but I dream things that never were and I say, why not? Think of Shaw's words as you practice staying on the active side of infinity and seeing the infinite possibilities that are available to all of us. A sense of awe. You have to admit that just the concept of infinity is awesome. No beginning, no end. Everywhere at once, no time, and all of it here and now. The fact that you're a part of this infinite universe and that you emerged into the finite is mind-boggling. It defies description. The active side of infinity inspires a sense of awe. When you're in a state of awe, you're in a persistent state of gratitude. Perhaps the surest way to happiness and fulfillment in life is to thank and praise your source for everything that happens to you. Then, even when a calamity arises, you can be assured that you'll turn it into a blessing. By giving authentic thanks for all the good you now have, as well as the challenges, through this magnetism, you'll start the flow of more good into your life. Every successful person I know is grateful for everything they have. This process of giving thanks opens the door for more to come. It's how being an act of infinity works. Your sense of awe at all of the miracles you see around you allows you to think, see, and live more of these miraculous occurrences. In contrast, a state of ingratitude stops the infinite flow of abundance and health. It's a door closer. A sense of humility. The active side of infinity fosters a sense of humility. When humility enters your soul, you know that you're not alone in this world because you sense the heart of the power of intention, which is in each and every one of us. To quote the Talmud, even if you be otherwise perfect, you fail without humility, unquote. When you embrace the active side of infinity, you're looking at something so enormous that your little ego is dwarfed in the process. You're looking out at forever, and your little life is but a tiny parenthesis in eternity. One of the reasons for so much contemporary depression and ennui is the inability to see ourselves connected to something greater and more important than our own puny egos. Young people whose primary focus is on their possessions, their appearances, their reputations with their peers, in short, their own egos, have very little sense of humility. When the only thing you have to think about is yourself and how you appear to others, you've distanced yourself from the power of intention. If you want to feel connected to your own purpose, know this for certain. Your purpose will only be found in service to others and in being connected to something far greater than your body, mind, ego. A sense of generosity. If asked, why do you give us light and warmth? I believe that the sun would answer, it's my nature to do so. We must be like the sun and locate and dispense our giving nature. When you're on the active side of infinity, giving is your nature. When you're on the inactive side of infinity, you view life in terms of shortages, and hoarding becomes a way of living. Generosity, as well as the inclination to reach your intentions, is lost when you think in these terms. If you can't see an infinite universe with infinite supply and infinite time and an infinite source, you'll be inclined to hoard and be stingy. The power of intention is paradoxically experienced through what you're willing to give to others. I love Swami Sivananda's advice, and I encourage you to consider it here. Everything that he suggests, you own in infinite amounts. He put it this way: the best thing to give your enemy is forgiveness. To an opponent, tolerance. To a friend, your heart. To your child, a good example. To your father, deference. To your mother, conduct that will make her proud of you. To yourself, respect. To all men, charity. Make giving a way of life. It is, after all, what source and nature do eternally. I've heard it said about nature that trees bend low with ripened fruit, clouds hang down with gentle rain.
Thanks for watching. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you about the Language of Abundance program I mentioned earlier. It's a game changer for anyone on a manifestation journey. Simple, effective, and designed to help you attract prosperity. If you're ready to take your journey to the next level, click the link below. Remember, we're all about positivity and growth here. So let's keep manifesting and creating the life we desire. Until next time, stay blessed and keep your vision clear.
There's nothing natural about living a life filled with stress and anxiety, having feelings of despair and depression, and needing pills to tranquilize yourself. Agitated thoughts that produce high blood pressure, a nervous stomach, persistent feelings of discomfort, an inability to relax or sleep, and frequent displays of displeasure and outrage are violating your natural state. Believe it or not, you have the power to create the naturally stress-free and tranquil life you desire. You can utilize this power to attract frustration or joy, anxiety or peace. When you're in harmony with the 7 faces of intention, you can access and pull from the source of all in order to fulfill your intention of being stress-free and tranquil. So if it's natural to have feelings of well-being, why is it that we seem to experience so much unwellness and tension? The answer to this question provides you with the key that leads to the peaceful life you desire.
Hey there, Vision Clarity family. Quick pause because I've got something exciting to share with you today. I've discovered a program called The Language of Abundance that I believe can truly enhance our journey towards manifestation and abundance. This program is all about unlocking the power of positive thinking and attracting wealth into your life. It's simple, easy to follow, and has been praised by many for its effectiveness. Check out the link in the description below to learn more and get your hands on this life-changing tool today. Remember, we're all about growth and positivity here, And I believe this could be a great step forward for many of us. Stay blessed and keep manifesting. Now let's get back to our session.
Stress is a desire of the ego. We speak of stress as if it were present in the world as something that attacks us. We say things like, I'm having an anxiety attack, as if anxiety is a combatant. But the stress in your body is rarely the result of external forces or entities attacking you. It's the result of the weakened connecting link to intention caused by your belief that ego is who you are. You are peace and joy, but you've allowed your ego to dominate your life. The following lighthearted way to stop taking yourself so seriously is from a book by Rosamund and Benjamin Zander. He's the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, titled The Art of Possibility. It illustrates in a delightful way how we allow ego to create many of the problems we encounter that we label stress and anxiety. It's called Rule Number 6. I'll share it with you. 2 prime ministers are sitting in a room discussing affairs of state. Suddenly a man bursts in, apoplectic with fury, shouting and stamping and banging his fist on the desk. The resident prime minister admonishes him. Peter, he says, kindly remember Rule Number 6. Whereupon Peter is instantly restored to complete calm, apologizes and withdraws. The politicians return to their conversation only to be interrupted yet again 20 minutes later by an hysterical woman gesticulating wildly, her hair flying. Again, the intruder is greeted with the words, Marie, please remember Rule Number 6. Complete calm descends once more, and she too withdraws with a bow and an apology. When the scene is repeated for a third time, the visiting prime minister addresses his colleague. My dear friend, he says, I've seen many things in my life, but never anything as remarkable as this. Would you be willing to share with me the secret of Rule Number 6? Very simply, replies the resident prime minister. Rule Number 6 is, don't take yourself so damn seriously. Ah, says his visitor, that's a fine rule. After a moment of pondering, he inquires, and what, may I ask, are the other rules? Oh, there aren't any. As you encounter stress, pressure, or anxiety in your life, remember Rule Number 6. At the moment you realize you're thinking stressful thoughts. By noticing and discontinuing the inner dialogue that causes stress, you may be able to prevent its physical symptoms. What are the inner thoughts that produce stress? I'm more important than those around me. My expectations aren't being met. I shouldn't have to wait. I'm too important. I'm the customer here, and I demand attention. No one else has these pressures. All of these above, along with a potentially endless inventory of Rule Number 6 thoughts, are from the ego's bag of tricks. You aren't your work, your accomplishments, your possessions, your home, your family, your anything. You are an aspect of the power of intention, dressed in a physical human body, intended to experience and enjoy life on earth. This is the intention that you want to bring to the presence of stress. To fulfill the intention of this chapter to live a stress-free and tranquil life, you must become conscious of the need to activate thought responses that match your intention. These new responses will become habitual and replace your old habit of responding in stress-producing ways. When you examine segments of stress-producing incidents, you always have a choice. Do I stay with thoughts that produce stress within me, or do I work to activate thoughts that make stress impossible? Here's another easy tool that will help you to replace the habit of choosing anxiety and stress. I call them 5 magic words. Here they are. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. In an earlier chapter, I described how your emotions are a guidance system informing you of whether or not you're creating resistance to your intentions. Feeling bad lets you know that you're not connected to the power of intention. Your intention here is to be tranquil and stress-free. When you feel good, you're connected to your intentions, regardless of what goes on around you or what others expect you to feel. Many events will transpire in which your conditioned response is to feel bad. Be aware of these outer incidents and say the 5 magic words, I want to feel good. In that precise moment, ask yourself if feeling bad is going to make the situation any better. You'll discover that the only thing that feeling bad accomplishes in response to outer situations is to plummet you into anxiety, despair, depression, and of course, stress. Instead, ask yourself in that moment what thought you can have that will make you feel good. When you discover that it's responding with kindness and love to the bad feeling, which is quite different from wallowing around in it, you'll begin experiencing a shift in your emotional state. Now you're in vibrational harmony with your source, since the power of intention knows only peace, kindness, and love. I assure you that your decision to feel good is a way of connecting to spirit. It isn't an indifferent response to events. By feeling good, you become an instrument of peace, and it's through this channel that you eradicate problems. By feeling bad, you stay in the energy field that creates resistance to positive change and experience a stressful, anxious state as a byproduct. The things you call problems will perpetually present themselves to you. They'll never go away. Resolve one, and another one will surface. You'll never get it done. I urge you to simply accept the fact that you'll never get it all done and begin to live more fully in the only moment that you have, which is now. The secret to removing the harmful effects of feeling stressed and under pressure is to be in the now. Announce out loud to yourself and all who are willing to listen to you, I'm an incomplete being. I'll always be incomplete because I can never get it done. Therefore, I choose to feel good while I'm in the moment, attracting into my life the manifestations of my desires. I am complete in my incompleteness. I can assure you that a follow-up on this statement will eradicate all anxiety and stress, which is precisely the intention of this chapter. All resistance melts away when you can feel complete in your incompleteness. The path of least resistance. You live in a universe that has limitless potential for joy built into the creation process. Your source, which we call the universal mind of intention, adores you beyond anything you can ever possibly imagine. When you adore yourself, in the same proportion, you've matched up with the field of intention, and you've opted for the path of no resistance. As long as you have even a pinch of ego, you'll retain some resistance. So I urge you to take the path in which resistance is minimized. The shape and quantity of your thoughts determine the amount of resistance. Thoughts that generate bad feelings are resistant thoughts. Any thought that puts a barrier between what you would like to have and your ability to attract it into your life is called resistance. Let me say that again. Any thought that puts a barrier between what you would like to have and your ability to attract it into your life is called resistance. Your intention is to live a tranquil life, free of stress and anxiety. You know that stress doesn't exist in the world, and that there are only people thinking stressful thoughts. Stressful thoughts all by themselves are a form of resistance. You don't want stressful, resistant thoughts to be your habitual way of reacting to your world. By practicing thoughts of minimal resistance, you'll train yourself to make this your natural way of reacting, and eventually you'll become the tranquil person you desire to be, a stress-free person, free of the dis-ease that stress brings to the body. Stressful thoughts all by themselves are the resistance that you construct that impede your connection to the power of intention. Here are some examples of sentences on the path of resistance, which are then changed to sentences on the path of least resistance. Here's the path of resistance. I feel uneasy about the state of the economy. I've already lost so much money. And listen to the path of least resistance. I live in an abundant universe. I choose to think about what I have and I will be fine. The universe will provide. Here's resistance. I can never get ahead in this job. Here's a path of least resistance. I choose to appreciate what I'm doing right now and I'll attract an even greater opportunity. Resistance. My health is a huge concern. I worry about getting old and becoming dependent and sick. Least resistance. I'm healthy and I think healthy. I live in a universe that attracts healing and I refuse to anticipate sickness. Resistance. I don't deserve to feel good when so many people are suffering. Least resistance. I didn't come into a world where everyone is going to have the same identical experience. I'll feel good, and by being uplifted, I'll help eradicate some of the suffering. All stressful thoughts represent a form of resistance you wish to eradicate. Change those thoughts by monitoring your feelings and opting for joy rather than anxiety, and you'll access the power of intention. Making your intention your reality. Below is my 10-step program for making the intention of creating a stress-free, tranquil life your daily experience. Step 1. Remember that your natural state is joy. You are a product of joy and love. It's natural for you to experience these feelings. You've come to believe that feeling bad, anxious, or even depressed is natural, particularly when people and events around you are in low-energy modes. Remind yourself as frequently as necessary, I come from peace and joy. Anytime I'm anxious, stressed out, depressed, or fearful, I've abandoned my natural state. Step 2. Your thoughts, not the world, cause your stress. Your thoughts activate stressful reactions in your body. Stressful thoughts create resistance to the joy, happiness, and abundance that you desire to create in your life. These thoughts include, I can't, I'm too overworked, I worry, I'm afraid, I'm unworthy, it will never happen, I'm not smart enough, I'm too old or too young, and so on. These thoughts are like a program to resist being tranquil and stress-free, and they keep you from manifesting your desires. Step 3. You can change your thoughts of stress in any given moment and eliminate the anxiety for the next few moments or even hours and days. By making a conscious decision to distract yourself from worry, you've inaugurated the process of stress reduction, while simultaneously reconnecting to the field of all creating intention. It's from this place of peace and tranquility that you become a co-creator with God. You can't be connected to your source and be stressed at the same time. Hear that again. You can't be connected to your source and be stressed at the same time. This is mutually exclusive. Your source doesn't create from a position of anxiety, nor does it need to swallow antidepressants. You've left behind your capacity to manifest your desires when you don't choose in the moment to eliminate a stressful thought. Step 4. Monitor your stressful thoughts by checking on your emotional state right now, right in the moment. Ask yourself the key question. Do I feel good right now? If the answer is no, then repeat those 5 magic words. I want to feel good. Then shift to I intend to feel good. Monitor your emotions and detect how much stress and anxiety-producing thinking you're engaging in. This monitoring process keeps you apprised of whether you're on the path of least resistance or going in the other direction. Step 5. Make a conscious choice to select a thought that will activate good feelings. I urge you to choose your thought based exclusively on how it makes you feel rather than how popular it is or how well advertised. Ask yourself, does this new thought make me feel good? No? Well, how about this thought? Not really. Here's another. Ultimately, you'll come up with one that makes you feel good, if only temporarily. Your choice might be the thought of a beautiful sunset, the expression of the face of someone that you really love, or a thrilling experience. It's only important that it resonate within you emotionally and physically as a good feeling. Step 6. Spend some time observing babies and vow to emulate their joy. You didn't come forth into this world to suffer, to be anxious, fearful, stressful, or depressed. You came from the God consciousness of joy. Just watch little babies. They've done nothing to be so happy about. They don't work, they poop in their pants, and they have no goals other than to expand and grow and explore this amazing world. They love everyone. They're completely entertained by a plastic bottle or a goofy face, and they're in a constant state of love. Yet they have no teeth, no hair, and they're pudgy and flatulent. How could they possibly be so joyful and easily pleased? Because they're still in harmony with the source that intended them here. They have no resistance to being joyful. Be like that baby you once were in terms of being joyful. You don't need a reason to be happy. Your desire to be so is sufficient. Step 7. Keep rule number 6 in mind. This means to suspend the demands of your ego, which keeps you separated from intention. When you have a choice to be right or to be kind, pick kind and push the ego's demand out of the way. Kindness is what you emanated from, and by practicing it rather than being right, you eliminate the possibility of stress in your moment of kindness. When you find yourself being impatient with anyone, simply say to yourself, rule number 6, and you'll immediately laugh at the piddly little ego that wants you to be first, faster, number 1, or to be treated better than the other guy. Step 8. Accept the guidance of your source of intention. You will only come to know the Father by being as He is. You'll only be able to access the guidance of this field of intention by being as it is. Stress, anxiety, and depression will be lifted from you with the assistance of that same force that created you. If it can create worlds out of nothing, and you out of nothing, surely the removal of some stress isn't such a big deal. I believe that God's desire for you is that you not only know joy, but that you become it. Step 9. Practice being in silence and meditation. Nothing relieves stress, depression, anxiety, and all forms of low-energy emotions like silence and meditation. Here you make conscious contact with your source and cleanse your connecting link to intention. Take time every day for moments of quiet contemplation and make meditation a part of your stress-reducing ritual. Step 10. Stay in a state of gratitude and awe. Go on a rampage of appreciation for all that you have, all that you are, and all that you observe. Gratitude is the 10th step in every 10-step program for manifesting your intentions. because it's the surest way to stop the incessant inner dialogue that leads you away from the joy and the perfection of the Source. You can't feel stressed and appreciative at the same time. I'd like to conclude this chapter on your intention to lead a tranquil life with a poem by the famous Bengali poet of Calcutta, Rabindranath Tagore, one of my favorite spiritual teachers. I slept, he says, and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. It can all be joy in your inner and outer worlds. Sleep and dream of joy, and remember above all else, you feel good, not because the world is right, but your world is right because you feel good.
Thanks for watching. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you about the Language of Abundance program I mentioned earlier. It's a game changer for anyone on a manifestation journey. Simple, effective, and designed to help you attract prosperity. If you're ready to take your journey to the next level, click the link below. Remember, we're all about positivity and growth here. So let's keep manifesting and creating the life we desire. Until next time, stay blessed and keep your vision clear.
Are you tired of waiting for your manifestations to come true? Well, I have great news for you. There's a new tool that can help you manifest 100 times faster. It's called the 20-word script, and it's already changing lives. This script alters your DNA, allowing you to tap into the power of the universe and manifest your desires with ease. Check out the link in the description below to learn more and get your hands on this life-changing tool today. Now let's get to our session.
Living beyond ego. The opening line of this 7th verse of the Tao Te Ching is a reminder that the Tao, the source of heaven and earth, is eternal. By extension, the original nature of life is everlasting and enduring. There is a quality that supports this durability, and that quality responds when we live from our Tao center rather than from our worldly ego center. Identifying exclusively with the physicality of life and basing our existence on acquiring and achieving things disregards our infinite nature and limits our awareness of Taoness. In such a finite system, it therefore seems logical to strive for possessions and accomplishments. Being civilized in most cultures primarily constitutes being consumed with attaining success in the acquisition of power and things, which supposedly will provide happiness and prevent unhappiness. The primary idea is of a self who's a separate being in a separate body with a name and with cultural and biological data that are similar in values and patriotism to others. The Tao, particularly in this 7th verse, is suggesting that we update those notions and choose to exist for more than ourselves or our tribe. That is, to radically change our thoughts in order to change our lives. Lao Tzu says the secret of the ineffable nature of the eternal Tao is that it isn't identified with our possessions or in asking anything of its endless creations. The Tao is a giving machine that never runs out of gifts to offer, yet it asks nothing in return. Because of this natural tendency to live for others, the Tao teaches that it can never die. Giving and immortality, then, go hand in hand. The sage who grasps this everlasting nature of the Tao has gone beyond false identification with the ego and instead has a living connection to the Tao. This person puts others first, asks nothing in return, and wholeheartedly serves. In this way, the sage lives the ultimate paradox of the Tao. By giving without asking, he attracts everything that he's capable of handling or needing. By putting himself last, the sage ends up ahead. By putting others before himself, he endures, just like the Tao. The sage emulates the natural philanthropy of the Tao, and all of his needs are fulfilled in the process. The ego is a demanding force that's never satisfied. It constantly requires that we seek more money, more power, more acquisitions, more glory, more prestige to provide the fuel that it thinks it must have. But living a Tao-centered life rather than an ego-centered one removes us from the rat race, as it offers inner peace and satisfying fulfillment. This is what I believe the wisdom of this verse of the Tao Te Ching is saying for the 21st century. First, make an attempt to reverse ego's hold on you by practicing the Tao's teaching to serve the needs of others, and all your own needs will be fulfilled. Generously thinking of and serving others will lead to matching your behaviors with the perpetual rhythm of the Tao. Then its power will flow freely, leading to a fulfilling life. Ego wants the opposite, however, as it tells you to think of yourself first and get yours before someone else beats you to it. The main problem with listening to ego is that you're always caught in the trap of striving and never arriving. Thus you can never feel complete. As you reach out in thoughts and behaviors, you activate loving energy, which is synonymous with giving. Put others ahead of you in as many ways as possible by affirming, I see the sacred, invisible source of all in its eternal state of giving and asking nothing in return. I vow to be this too in my thoughts and in my behaviors. When you're tempted to focus on your personal successes and defeats, shift your attention in that very moment to a less fortunate individual. You'll feel connected to life as well as more satisfied than when you're dwelling on your own circumstances. Imagine what it would be like if you dismissed ego's hold on you, serving others, and watching how all that you give returns to you tenfold. The poet Hafiz expresses this attitude perfectly. Quote, everyone is God speaking. Why not be polite and listen to him? Unquote. And secondly, stop the chase and be a witness. The more you pursue desires, the more they'll elude you. Try letting life come to you and begin to notice the clues that what you crave is on its way. You're in a constant state of receiving because of the ceaseless generosity of the eternal Tao. The air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, the sunshine that warms you, the nutrients that keep your body alive, and even the thoughts that fill your mind are all gifts from the eternal Tao. Stay appreciative of all that you receive, knowing that it flows from an all-providing source. Stop the chase and become a witness. Soothe your demanding habits by refusing to continue running after more. By letting go, you let God. And even more significantly, you become more like God and less like the ego, with its lifetime practice of edging God out. E-G-O. Do the Tao now. Be on the lookout for ego demands for an entire day. Decide to diffuse as many of them as you can comfortably, perhaps by assigning them an intensity grade. Living beyond ego situations that are easy to accomplish gets a low number, while those requests that are difficult to quell get a higher number. For example, let's say that your mate drives right on by, or you watch him or her take a different route than you ordinarily do. Silently witness the degree of discomfort with your decision not to say anything. Did ego let you know its preference? Or if you have a conversational opportunity to display your specialized knowledge or describe a situation where you were the recipient of honor or success, note how uncomfortable your decision to remain quiet felt. Again, did ego let you know its preference? As Lao Tzu says in this verse, quote, through selfless action, fulfillment is attained. By holding back ego's demands, even for a few moments, you'll feel more and more fulfilled, unquote. That's the message of this verse of the Tao Te Ching. 8th verse of the Tao Te Ching, quote, the supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It flows to low places, loathed by all men. Therefore, it is like the Tao. Live in accordance with the nature of things. In dwelling, be close to the land. In meditation, go deep in the heart. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. Stand by your word. Govern with equity. Be timely in choosing the right moment. One who lives in accordance with nature does not go against the way of things. He moves in harmony with the present moment, always knowing the truth of just what to do. Unquote. Living in the flow. The Tao and water are synonymous, according to the teachings of Lao Tzu. You are water. Water is you. Think about the first 9 months of your life after conception. You lived in and were nourished by amniotic fluid, which is truly unconditional love flowing into you, flowing as you. You are now 75% water, and your brain is 85% water, and the rest is simply muscled water. Think about the mysterious, magical nature of this liquid energy that we take for granted. Try to squeeze it, and it eludes us. Relax our hands into it, and we experience it readily. If it stays stationary, it will become stagnant. If it's allowed to flow, it will stay pure. It does not seek the high spots to be above it all, but settles for the lowest places. It gathers into rivers, lakes, and streams, courses to the sea, and then evaporates to fall again as rain. It maps out nothing, and it plays no favorites. It doesn't intend to provide sustenance to the animals and plants, It has no plans to irrigate the fields, to slake our thirst, or to provide the opportunity to swim, sail, ski, and scuba dive. These are some of the benefits that come naturally from water simply doing what it does and being what it is. The Tao asks you to clearly see the parallels between you and this naturally flowing substance that allows life to sustain itself. Live as water lives, since you are water. Become as contented as is the fluid that animates and supports you. Let your thoughts and behaviors move smoothly in accordance with the nature of all things. It's natural for you to be gentle, to allow others to be free to go where they're inclined to go, and to be as they need to be without interference from you. It is natural to trust in the eternal flow, to be true to your inner inclinations and stick to your words. It's natural to treat everyone as an equal. All of these lessons can be derived by observing how water, which sustains all life, behaves. It simply moves, and the benefits it provides occur from it being what it is, in harmony with the present moment and knowing the truth of precisely how to behave. What follows is what Lao Tzu might say to you based upon his writing of the 8th verse of the Tao Te Ching. First, when you're free to flow as water, you're free to communicate naturally. Information is exchanged and knowledge advances in a way that benefits everyone. Be careful not to assign yourself a place of importance above anyone else. Be receptive to everyone, particularly those who may not routinely receive respect, such as the uneducated or the homeless or troubled members of our society. Go to the low places loathed by all men, and have an open mind when you're there. Look for the Tao in everyone you encounter, and make a special effort to have acceptance, gentleness, and kindness course through you to others. By not being irritating, you'll be received with respect. By making every effort to avoid controlling the lives of others, you'll be in peaceful harmony with the natural order of the Tao. This is the way you nourish others without trying. Be like water, which creates opportunities for swimming and fishing and surfing and drinking and wading and sprinkling and floating and an endless list of benefits by not trying to do anything other than simply flow. And secondly, let your thoughts float freely. Forget about fighting life or trying to be something else. Rather, allow yourself to be like the material compound that comprises every aspect of your physical being. In the Hidden Messages of Water, Masaru Emoto explains that we are water, and water wants to be free. The author has thoroughly explored the ways in which this compound reacts, noting that by respecting and loving it, we can literally change its crystallization process. If kept in a container with the words love or thank you or you're beautiful imprinted on it, water becomes beautifully radiant crystals. Yet if the words on the container are you fool, Satan, or I will kill you, the crystals break apart, are distorted, and seem confused. The implications of Emoto's work are stupendous. Since our consciousness is located within us, and we're essentially water, then if we're out of balance in our intentions, it's within the realm of possibility that our intentions can impact the entire planet and beyond in a destructive way. As our Creator, the eternal Tao, might put it, water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. Do the Tao now. Drink water silently today, while reminding yourself with each sip to nourish others in the same life-flourishing ways that streams give to the animals and rain delivers to the plants. Note how many places water is there for you, serving you by flowing naturally. Say a prayer of gratitude for this life-sustaining, always-flowing substance.
Thank you for joining our session today. If you're ready to take your manifestation game to the next level, head over to the link in the description and get your own copy of the script today to unlock the power of the universe and manifest your dreams with ease.
When you love and trust yourself, you're loving and trusting the wisdom that created you. And when you fail to love and trust yourself, you're denying that infinite wisdom in favor of your own ego. It's important here to remember that at every single moment of your life, you have the choice to either be a host to God or a hostage to your ego. So here's the question, host or hostage? Your ego's belief that you're separate from everyone, separate from what's missing in your life, and most egregiously, separate from God, further hampers your ability to live up to the intention of respecting yourself. Ego's idea of separation fosters your feelings of being in competition with everyone and evaluating your worth based on how frequently you emerge as a winner. As a hostage to your ego, self-respect is unavailable. because you feel judged for your failures. It's out of this bleak picture produced by the negative ego that self-rejection emerges. It captures you and makes a hostage of you, never allowing you to play host to that from which you originated. Being a host to God means always seeing your authentic connection to your source. It's knowing that it's impossible for you to ever be disconnected from the source from which you came. Personally, I thoroughly enjoy being a host to God. As I write here every single morning, as I sit here in the studio reading these words, I feel that I'm receiving words and ideas from the power of intention, which allows me to bring these words to this page and to this recording. I trust in this source to provide me with the words. Therefore, I'm trusting in the source that brought me into this physical world. I'm eternally connected to this source. This awareness simply doesn't include a lack of respect for intending this book or this recording into form. The conclusion I've come to is that I'm worthy of my intention to write a book and to create this recording and have it published and in your hands today. In other words, I respect the peace of God that I am. I tap into the power of intention, and my feeling of respect for it enhances my respect for myself. So by loving and respecting yourself, you're hosting God and inviting the energy of creation to your consciousness, to your daily life, as you connect to the power of intention.
Hey there, Vision Clarity family. Sorry for interrupting, but I've got something exciting to share with you today. I've discovered a program called The Language of Abundance that I believe can truly enhance our journey towards manifestation and abundance. This program is all about unlocking the power of positive thinking and attracting wealth into your life. It's simple, easy to follow, and has been praised by many for its effectiveness. Check out the link in the description below to learn more and get your hands on this life-changing tool today. Remember, we're all about growth and positivity here, and I believe this could be a great step forward for many of us. Stay blessed and keep manifesting. Now let's get back to our session.
Let's look at the energy of intention and your self-respect. If you don't believe that you're worthy of fulfilling your intentions for health, wealth, or loving relationships, then you're creating an obstacle that will inhibit the flow of creative energy into your daily life. Recall that everything in the universe is energy, which moves at various frequencies. The higher the frequency, the closer you are to spiritual energy. In the lower frequencies, you find shortages and problems. Intention itself is a unified energy field, which intends everything into existence. This field is home to the laws of nature and is the inner domain of every human being. This is the field of all possibilities, and it's yours, just by virtue of your existence. Having a belief system that denies your connection to intention is the only way you're unable to access the power of intention from the infinite field. If you're convinced that you're unworthy of enjoying the field of all possibilities, then you'll radiate this very kind of low energy. This will, in fact, become your attracted energy pattern, and you'll send messages to the universe that you're unworthy of receiving the unlimited abundance of the originating spirit. Soon you'll act on this inner conviction of self-disrespect. The antidote to this dreary picture is to make an internal commitment to respect yourself and to feel worthy of all that the universe has to offer. If anyone is entitled to success and happiness, everyone is, because everyone is always connected to intention. Simply put, disrespecting yourself is not only disrespecting one of God's greatest creation, it's disrespecting God. When you disrespect your source, you say no to it, and you turn away from the power of intention. This stops the flow of energy that allows you to put your individual, unbending intent into practice. All of the positive thinking in the world will do you absolutely no good if those thoughts don't emanate from respect for your connection to intention. The source of your thoughts must be celebrated and loved. And this means having the self-respect that's in harmony with the omniscient source of intelligence. What's the source of your thoughts? Your beingness. Your beingness is the place from which your thoughts and actions come. When you disrespect your being, you set into motion a chain reaction culminating in unfulfilled intentions. What you think of yourself is what you think of the world. How do you see the world you live in? What do you think people in general are really like? Do you believe that evil is triumphing over good? Is the world filled with egocentric, selfish people? Can the little guy ever get ahead? Are government entities and all their representatives corrupt and untrustworthy? Is life unfair? Is it impossible to get ahead if you don't have connections? When you have a gloomy picture of what the world looks like, you're unreceptive to the potential assistance that's there to help you with your own individual intentions. Why would others want to come to your aid when you view them as contemptible? Why would the universal force be attracted to that which repels it? How could a world that's so corrupt ever be of assistance to someone who has noble intentions? The answer to these questions are obvious. You attract into your life what you feel inside. If you feel that you're not worthy of being respected, you attract disrespect. This weak self-respect is the result of an exceptionally rusty link to the field of intention. This link must be cleansed and purified, and that takes place within your own mind. I've specifically chosen self-respect as the very first chapter in part 2 of this recording on applying intention, because without high esteem for yourself, you shut down the entire process of intention. Without unflagging self-respect, the process of intention is operating at the lowest levels. The universal field of intention is love, kindness, and beauty, which has for all that it brings into the material world. Those who wish to replicate the works of the universal all-creating mind must be in harmony with the attributes of love, kindness, and beauty. If you disrespect anyone or anything that God creates, you disrespect that creative force. You are one of those creations. If you view yourself disrespectfully, you've forsaken or cast aside, or at the very least, you've sullied your connection to the power of intention. It's important that you recognize that your entire worldview is based on how much respect you have for yourself. It has nothing to do with what others may think of you. Your self-respect comes from the self, and the self alone. Let's look at the self in self-respect. Perhaps the greatest mistake we make, which causes a loss of self-respect, is making the opinions of others more important than our own opinion of ourselves. Self-respect means just what it says. It originates from the self. This self originated in a universal field of intention that intended you here, from the infinite formless state to a being of molecules and physical substance. If you fail to respect yourself, you're showing contempt for the process of creation. How do you return to the self in self-respect? Well, rather than judging those who judge you, thereby lowering your self-respect, send them a silent blessing of forgiveness, and imagine them doing the same toward you. You're connecting to intention and guaranteeing that you'll always respect the divinity that you are. You've cleared the path to be able to enjoy the great power that is yours in that field of intention. Making your intention your reality. In this concluding section, I'm going to present you with 10 ways or 10 steps to practice nurturing your intention to respect yourself at all times. Here's step 1. Look into a mirror. Make eye connection with yourself and say, I love me, as many times as possible during your day. I love me. These 3 magic words help you maintain your self-respect. Your immediate impulse might be to see this as an expression of your ego's desire to be superior to everyone else, but this is not an ego statement at all. It's an affirmation of self-respect. Transcend that ego mind and affirm your love for yourself and your connection to the Spirit of God. This doesn't make you superior to anyone. It makes you equal to all and celebrates that you're a piece of God. Affirm it in order to be respectful of that which intended you here. Affirm it because it's the way you're going to stay connected to your source and regain the power of intention. I love me. Say it proudly and be that image of love and self-respect. Step 2. Write the following affirmation and repeat it over and over again to yourself. I am whole and perfect as I was created. Carry this thought with you wherever you go. Have it laminated and placed in your pocket or on your dashboard or on your refrigerator or even next to your bed. Allow the words to become a source of high energy and self-respect. By simply carrying these words with you and being in the same space with them, their energy will flow directly to you. Over and over, remind yourself, I'm not my body, I'm not my accumulations, I'm not my achievements, I'm not my reputation. I am whole and perfect as I was created. Step 3. Extend more respect to others and to all of life. Perhaps the greatest secret of self-esteem is to appreciate other people more. The easiest way to do this is to see the unfolding of God in them. Look past the judgments of others' appearances, failures and successes, their status in society, their wealth or their lack of it, and extend appreciation and love to the source from which they came. Everyone is a child of God. Everyone, by knowing that everyone belongs. This should never come into question. Your presence here in this universe is proof alone that you belong here. The wisdom of creation intended you to be here, in this place, in this family, with these siblings and parents, occupying this precious space in this time. Say it to yourself and say it over and over again. I belong, and so does everyone else. No one is here by accidents. There are no accidents in this universe. Step 5. Remind yourself that you're never alone. My self-respect stays intact as long as I know that it's impossible for me to be alone. I have what I call a senior partner who's never abandoned me and who stuck with me even in moments when I had seemingly deserted my source. I feel that if the universal mind has enough respect to allow me to come here and to work through me and to protect me in times when I strayed onto dangerous non-spiritual turf, then this very partnership deserves my reciprocal respect. I recall my friend Pat McMahon, a talk show host on KTAR radio in Phoenix, Arizona, telling me about his encounter with Mother Teresa in his studio before interviewing her for his program. He pleaded with her to allow him to do something for her. Anything at all, he begged. I'd just like to help you in some way. She looked at him and said, tomorrow morning, get up at 4 a.m. and go out onto the streets of Phoenix and find someone who lives there who believes that he's alone and convince him that he's not. Great advice, because everyone who wallows in self-doubt or appears to be lost has lost their self-respect because they've forgotten that they're not alone. No one is ever alone. Step 6. Respect your body. You've been provided with a perfect body to house your inner invisible being for a few brief moments in eternity. Regardless of its size or shape or color or any imagined infirmities, it's a perfect creation for the purpose that you were intended here for. You don't need to work at getting healthy. Health is something you already have if you don't disturb it. You can begin the fulfillment of this intention to live a life of self-respect by honoring the temple that houses you. You know what to do. You don't need another diet or workout manual or personal trainer. Go within, listen to your body, and treat it with all of the dignity and love that your self-respect demands. Step 7. Meditate. Always meditate to stay in conscious contact with your source, which always respects you. I can't say this enough. Meditation is a way to experience what the 5 senses can't detect. When you're connected to the field of intention, you're connected to the wisdom that's within you. The divine wisdom has great respect for you, and it cherishes you while you're here. Meditation is a way to ensure that you stay in a state of self-respect. Regardless of all that goes on around you, when you enter into that sacred space of meditation, all doubts about your value as an esteemed creation dissolve. You'll emerge from the solemnity of meditation feeling connected to your source and enjoying respect for all beings, particularly yourself. Step 8. Make amends with adversaries. The act of making amends sends out a signal of respect for your adversaries. By radiating this forgiveness energy outward, you'll find this same kind of respectful, positive energy flowing back towards you. If you're filled with rage toward anyone, there's a huge part of you that resents the presence of this debilitating energy. Take a moment right here and now to simply face that person who stands out in your mind as someone you hurt or directed hurt towards you, and tell him or her that you'd like to make amends. You'll notice how much better you feel. The good feeling of having cleared the air is self-respect. It takes much more courage and strength of character and inner conviction to make amends than it does to hang on to the low energy feelings. Step 9. Always remember the self in self-respect. In order to do this, you must recognize that the opinions of others towards you aren't facts, they're opinions. When I speak to an audience of 500 people, there are 500 opinions of me in the room at the end of the evening. I'm none of those opinions. I can't be responsible for how they view me. The only thing I can be responsible for is my own character, and this is true for every single one of us. If I respect myself, then I'm relying on the self in self-respect. If I doubt myself or punish myself, I've not only lost my self-respect, I'll continue to attract more and more doubt and lower energy opinions with which to further punish myself. You can't stay linked to the universal mind which intends all of us here if you fail to rely on yourself for your self-respect. And finally, step 10, Always be in a state of gratitude. You'll discover that gratitude is the final step in each succeeding chapter. Be an appreciator rather than a depreciator of everything that shows up in your life. When you're saying thank you, God, for everything, and when you're expressing gratitude for your life and all that you see and experience, you're respecting creation itself. This respect is within you, and you can only give away what you have inside. Being in a state of gratitude is the exact same thing as being in a state of respect. Respect for yourself, which you give away freely, and which will return to you tenfold.
Thanks for watching. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you about the Language of Abundance program I mentioned earlier. It's a game changer for anyone on a manifestation journey. Simple, effective, and designed to help you attract prosperity. If you're ready to take your journey to the next level, click the link below. Remember, we're all about positivity and growth here. So let's keep manifesting and creating the life we desire. Until next time, stay blessed and keep your vision clear.